don't usually sit down in front of a camera. Actually, I've never done this whole vlog thing before. But the election just happened here in the United States, and the country's reaction to this whole thing is making me feel like I have to do something. A lot of people are angry that Donald Trump will be the next president of the United States. But you see, what they don't realize is the election isn't over quite yet. Yes, he who must not be named again has been named the president-elect of the United States. But what many Americans don't know is that that doesn't necessarily mean that he will become president. No, this isn't clickbait, and yes, I know what I'm talking about. There are still ways to get your voices heard before the inauguration. This video will be an open letter to people who want to make a change. Dear voters who want to make a change. This is it! A reality television star has been elected the actual president of the United States. This is the premise of movies like The Hunger Games. The Simpsons did a satire episode where this exact man became president of the United States. The end of the world is nigh, but is it really? Voters, did you know that when you elected President of the United States in November, you actually weren't voting directly for the president? What you were really voting for is how you want your state's electors to vote in the meeting of the Electoral College later on in December. The Electoral College is a group of representatives from each state that determine who the next president will be. Each state gets a different number of electoral representatives, and that is mostly dependent on the state's population. Because states like Texas and California are much more populous than states like Delaware and Alaska, they get more electoral votes. Are you telling me that if 51% of California votes for blue, then blue gets all of the electoral votes in California? But if 100% of Utah votes for blue, then blue only gets 6 electoral votes simply because of their population? Yes, for 48 out of the 50 states. Wait, doesn't that mean that one Utah's citizen vote doesn't matter as much as one vote in California? Doesn't that challenge the idea that all men are created equal? So basically, what you're doing on Election Day is telling your state's electors who you want them to vote for when that day comes, in 3 weeks. However, your state's electors are not legally obligated to vote for who the majority wants to vote for. If 100 of your state's popular votes went blue, and one of the electors from your state really wants to vote for red, then there's nothing you can do about it. In fact, this has happened 4 times in American history. 5 times? When the elected president of the United States did not win the majority of the popular vote, but rather the majority of the electoral votes alone. Ladies and gentlemen and other identities of the United States, I call on you to make your voices heard. Stand up. Tell your electors that there must be a change. Over 90 million people did not vote for the president at all this year. That's over 40% of the country. If you are one of the 90 million who didn't vote this year and want to right that wrong, or if you're just generally disappointed by the outcome of this year's presidential election, look in the description of this video. There you will find resources on how to contact important electors all around the country and tell them just how important it is that they go against what the majority of their states voted in November. In the description, there is a letter that you can literally copy and paste into an email or send in snail mail to one of these electors. There's also a script of what you can say in a phone call to an elector. It doesn't get any easier than this, America! 41% of the country didn't have their voice heard this November and may think it's too late, that the war is over. The battle may be over, but the war has just begun. Stand up! Like, share, comment on this video, copy and paste the letter in the description and send it to electors so they know who they really need to vote for. It's time to make our voices heard.